Are you seeing the real problem? Hello, it's John. It's the Marketing for Owners podcast. It's a Thursday down at the beach in Deal, where I live in Kent in the UK. You can hear the seaside and possibly a bit of the wind, but could be warmer, but it looks nice. And sorry if I'm squinting for those of you watching on video, but it's a bit bright. So on Tuesday I was talking on a similar sort of subject, and it's really, are you looking at the real problem, or are you simply seeing the symptoms and the symptoms of that problem? So for example, a common challenge that I hear with businesses is that businesses need more sales. In fact, even in my own business, that would probably be our number one challenge. But it's not always that simple. Let me give you an example of a friend of mine at a mastermind group was saying that they wanted to grow the business and employ people and build it up like that. Now she at the moment was working on her own, but felt that was the future and was quite prepared to build a business. But when it's actually discussed, because building a business from a successful kind of one-man band thing is a bit of a struggle. There's going to be a lot of challenges as you add staff and pay their salaries. That comes out of yours, and you have to grow more sales and then more staff and more sales, and quite often the growth initially is covering the expenses, and you possibly don't get very far. So we looked at it, and the reason for wanting to grow the business was to make more money, to be able to take more time off and to have a happier life where you weren't working all day long. And so as we started to look into it, then looked at the possibility of raising prices and choosing clients more carefully, and clients that are very appreciative of her good work, that would be prepared to pay for a higher level of service. And what we discovered, that it was possible to actually increase the income without having to build a business with all the other problems. But it was from looking back, looking deeper and deeper into what was going on. Now this can occur in many forms. So if you take, for instance, in our business, in my fire safety business, we've looked at this before. We've wanted to increase profits. And then we look in, why do we want to increase profits? We want to increase profits so we can invest more in marketing, in testing new marketing methods that will grow the business. And we say, okay, so if we want to increase profits, how do we do that? And well, by increasing sales. And of course, we want to increase the sales to give us money to find new ways of marketing. And we need those new ways of marketing to increase the sales. And there you go with the catch-22. So we started to look at it in another way. And we looked at the business and we found, for example, when was the last time prices were raised? And we're in a commoditized business, so a lot of the kickback then was we can't raise prices because no one else puts their prices up, will be too expensive. And we also looked at the expenses, other expenses, what we're spending. Over time, you find in a business generally, expenses creep up. You keep an eye on them at first, and you keep a general eye, but then things creep up and creep in, and things start to, you have maintenance problems and in buildings and so on, and things start to get worse and worse, and these things happen. And when you look at the expenses, quite often a detailed look will show you that they're not quite what you imagine. And so what happened was we were able to reduce the outgoings of the business, and we were able to increase prices. And we did it very carefully. It didn't affect our sales at all, by the way, or our conversion rates. You'd be interested to know, something worth testing yourself. And we were able to find a substantial amount of money by not really having to change anything. And it's one of those, we'll stare at each other with a, duh, why didn't we do that earlier? But it's because we were looking at the wrong thing. We thought we were looking at the problems. There were other problems deeper down. We were just looking at the symptoms. This is very, very, very common. As I explained the other day, Toyota have this system of the 5 whys. And although you might think, oh, how does Toyota's business relate to yours? But it's the way they solve problems. They enable, unlike the American car industry, what would happen is if there were issues in a vehicle as they're manufacturing, they will figure out that they'll fix them under warranty later on. What Toyota did differently, and you imagine these companies churn cars out every few seconds, they enabled any member on the production line to stop the entire production line, everything, and then bring everybody in to solve the problem. So it gets done there and it's fixed. And that's how Toyota managed to increase their reliability of their cars, and how they got a stranglehold or foothold in the American car industry, and to an extent that when the American car industry noticed, it was too late. Now, this was unheard of, because you remember old Henry Ford churning these things out on a production line? This was unheard of, but Toyota devised it. And when they look at problems, they try and get back to the root. So if they find, for instance, a door doesn't quite fit properly, then they say, why doesn't that door fit properly? And it's said because it's got the wrong hinges on. Why has it got the wrong hinges? Well, because we had to change our normal hinge manufacturer was over capacity. We had to find another one. And and then you get further back and eventually you find that the new manufacturer is using a different material and it doesn't work, or something like that. So please try that drill down, see how that works for you, because it really is a clever way of fixing problems that you think are the problem when it's not really. And you'll find interesting facts about your business and how things work. Now, this is Thursday. We have a Drive Time podcast recommendation for you. Now, this comes out of Stanford University. It's actually called the Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders Seminar. And what they do is they put on seminars and they invite entrepreneurial thought leaders in, and they give a talk. So it's like a longer version of a TED talk, but they are interesting, they're fascinating. To actually get to speak at one of these is quite a big deal. And so the people, not only are the people very good, but they put some effort in and then some. So these are, can't remember how often, but they're released regularly. If you go to iTunes, look up Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders Seminar, then you will be able to find it. Like I say, it's based to do with Stanford University. Very, very impressive. And when you hear these things, you might pick up little ideas and you'll get inspiration. That's what I get from listening to things like that. It may be completely unrelated to your business, but it's that little nugget of inspiration. That's all you're looking for. That's all you need. Go see what you think. I should be back tomorrow. And tomorrow, I've got a very good weekend challenge for you, so don't miss it.